We established it, the foundation, so I'm Istvan, I'm from the AltArt Foundation from Romania, and we established the foundation in '98. Those times, Larissa and me, those times we were man and wife. We were students at the Art Academy, and we simply needed organizational framework to be able to apply for funds to do our stuff. Since 13 years, now we have a budget of over 200,000 euro per year, and we commission socially engaged art. We discovered that we have appetite to do art for social change, and we always did socially committed art, even when we were the creators, if you want. So as you know, there's lots of kinds of art. Art as representation, art as documentation, art as self-exploration, art as whatever. We never did any of these. I mean, these components were of course also present, but the main dish was always socially engaged art. No. And in the years, because things changed, internet emerged, all this production is equal with consumption thing emerged. It was more correct for us to claim that we are not artists, we are just cultural contributors. And again, we had to take another step back, and we said that even with culture, we don't do humanist culture, we do anthropological culture, which means the culture of the way we organize our lives. We started to work, for instance, on the cultural strategy of the city, which didn't exist. And you know, it's usually the same thing, that on the first meeting there's everybody, the big museum directors and the big I don't know, art institution directors, and then the second meeting it's 1/3 of them, and the third meeting is 2 people, and in the end there's then nobody to actually do the work. And we were, if you want, insistent enough that we were there also on the 4th meeting, and in the end, now the cultural strategy of the city is 80%, 75% at least, our exact wording. So the way we proposed it, the way it was approved. This is a very important thing, because when they pass an act, they are not able to read it well. And they are not aware of what the words mean. And later you go there and you say, look, it's written that you have to be attentive to socially engaged art. And I say, okay, so what's that? And then you explain, but it's already in the cultural strategy and it's approved. For us, social inclusion and access to art means social access, not physical access, which means that you need audience development, which is a thing that was very much missing, and we will try to force museums to open for various categories of audience, to bring them around the museum, to show them, to bring school kids in the museum, etc., to alphabetize the audience of how to consume that kind of culture. Again, we were so lucky that we are not alone in this process. It's not our own game. We have, for instance, the Sociology University. We work with them since like 5 years on every project we have. We always try to imply students that are come and measure the impact or whatever, which is a tricky thing, because the language of sociology and the measuring that they do are not necessarily good to reflect what the work actually wants to produce. But anyway, it gives stability and gives explainability to the project, so you later can go to the mayor and show the Sociology University says blah 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 blah. And again, we work very much with architects, which means urban planning, revitalization of urban space, ways to optimize access, physical access mainly, but also social access to spaces. And for instance, this is what I wanted to say earlier, social access to culture means that you need to decentralize the culture. You cannot do all cultural events in the center, because usually the center is segregated, and it's the place of the bourgeois, and it's place of the wealthy, the reasonably wealthy people, and the worker class, usually in Cluj at least, is segregated. They don't go to the center. So what we tried to do in the last years is to bring culture to the periphery and to generate cultural events there where the workers are, where it's their natural habitat, if you want. Generally, the idea is that the authorities will ignore you exactly until they cannot afford to ignore you. And you need to be really very insistent and very slow, and then you go there again, and you go there again, and you go there again. And the only money that you have is your stability, is is that you are there today and you are there tomorrow, and this brings you an extraordinary amount of capital. The main sponsor for NGOs is the Ministry of Culture, and yes, we started to receive money also for the Capital of Culture. We had 2 projects. Since in the last 6-7 years, each year we had several grants per year from the Ministry of Culture for different projects. Generally, no, it's probably the same shit like in Ukraine, that you will not get core funding, and you won't get structural funding. You will just get project funding, which means that you cannot pay even your staff. You cannot pay. You just have to do your banners, and you pay the artists and so on. It's hard, and usually you have to do reporting acrobacy to make it work. But this is something that everybody does. Again, new opportunities open, because just the way that you are present, just the way that your work becomes indispensable, because you start processes which they have to finish, which they are obliged to finish because they started. It means that they start to need you, and they start to need you even more. But at this moment, for instance, we are members in the European Capital of Culture Commission. I'm the member of the directors board. Imagine this, and I'm the head of the visual art commissions. Although for instance, the rector of the Visual Art Academy is a member of this board, and still I am the coordinator. And it's not because I'm such a big visionary in culture. Maybe I am, but the fact that the city hall acknowledges that in the end there will be need of somebody who actually does the work. So they try to make sure that there is somebody who will be able to work, because all the rest is big directors, big bellies who are saying nothing, and in the end will work even less. No. So that's an opportunity. You have to work for free. And with this European Capital of Culture, the funny thing is that the cultural strategy of the city expires in 2013. And which means that we need a new cultural strategy. And I told the guys, look, we work for this Capital of Culture, which hopefully will be in 2020, but we need to develop a new cultural strategy too. And I said, okay, that's it. But this is again a new opportunity to bring in new ideas which will appear in print, and later you can go to the press, you can go to the mayor and say, look, it's written in the cultural strategy, you signed it, now you have to do it. As you grow stronger and your voice becomes if you want, more hearable via the press, you can afford yourself to make scandal. And for instance, we are now members also of a group that tries to fuck the Ministry of Culture, because they have a very non-transparent funding system, and we write petitions and we organize marches and so on. It's really a good and productive scandal. Bucharest is the main place with many organizations. Then it's Cluj with the second, which is our city. It's pretty cool. It's a really active and collaborative sector, but it's the same thing. That there are 20 organizations, let's say, in this union, and it's only 3 or 4 that are actually active. And even in those, there is usually one person who is busy with this, who is formulating, who is correcting, who is debating, who is submitting, who is going to meetings with the ministry and shit. So we are not only members in this European Capital of Culture business and the cultural strategy business, we also are members in the City Brand Commission. And again, last year we did the first public art commission of the city. In that time we brought money from the Ministry of Culture, and we did really critical artworks to the city. So I remember one of the works was so bad that the mayor was calling for 1 week every day that take that piece off, take that piece off. And I always explained, we cannot take the piece off. It was a public commission. It was a jury, and somebody from the city hall is a member of the jury, and you voted for it. So now it's on. And this is life. Just take it off. No, take it off. No. And in the end we took it off. No problem. But again, we fought them, and then we caressed them. And this year they gave us 2,700 euros to do the next public art commission. And it was already their contribution, financial contribution to the project, which is good. I think it's no better way that we fuck them with their money. if you can stand vertically with state money and then you cannot criticize state, I just gave an example that yes, you can take the state money and criticize the state and nothing happens. Also the same thing, we many times took the money of capitalism and criticized capitalism with it, and still nothing happened, and they wanted it the next time too. What is interesting, what we could do in the last years, because we became so active and so indispensable in the bureaucratic system of administrating the city and developing the strategy and implementing it, that now we are able to even go against the mayor openly, and then we fuck them with thing, and we criticize them openly, and we also tell them, look, this was wrong, and we will criticize you in the press, and we criticize them, and the next day we go again and we work together. And what is good, we don't do that kind of very extreme opposition in which we say fuck you so big that in the next day we cannot go. So we say just a tender fuck you, and then they caress them, and then the next day we go again, and everything is okay. This way you don't lose your truth to yourself, and you also remain on the field. It's important for us to remain on the terrain of football and then get the access to the ball. No, if you just break it, it's not productive. You will do nothing. You will just bark from the margin of the terrain, and then you achieve nothing. You need to be positive in your work with local authorities, and what we understood in the end, that at least this administration now, it's not that they are wrong intentioned or mean or anything. They are just killed under the tons of paper that they have to do, and it's way more work than they are capable to do. And this is where you can come in, you know. And it's also this way, when your work becomes indispensable, also your critics will be accepted, because they cannot do already without you. That's it. My only piece of advice: don't think of the big revolution. Think of the small revolutions. It's better, because big revolutions fail. But you can do a small revolution with 10 people, and you make 10 people happy. Then the next month you make 20 people happy somewhere. Then the next month you make 3 people happy in another part. It's better to make little local paradises, little local revolutions, than think, oh no, we'll change everything. You cannot change everything. But slowly. That is the way to do sustainable change.